with flowers and cheers and Hungarian flags, uniformed soldiers led by officers. When they relayed the news to Rachel's mother, Blima, she also rejoiced. Like others of her generation, she had been educated in Hungarian schools. She spoke the language, knew the history, and could recite Magyar, ethnic Hungarian, poems. In this land of changing borders and nationalities, she would now be able to help her children with their homework. Little did Blima know that her children's schooling would soon be the least of her concerns. A few weeks later, while Rachel slept at her grandmother Chaya's, a blackbird pecked insistently on the bedroom window. Chaya rose to listen. The bird, she said, was bringing good news. Rachel's Aunt Mulchi and her family were on their way. Sure enough, before officials closed the border between Romania and Hungary, on October 2nd, the Hungarian parliament officially incorporated northern Transylvania into its land. Rachel's Aunt Mulchi, her husband Mano, and their 2 children, 8-year-old Baby, who had won a Shirley Temple look-alike contest, and 6-year-old Jaime, her clever brother, left Brașov, Romania's second-largest city, for Sighet. Perhaps they feared the murderous Iron Guard. Rachel overheard her parents talking about green shirts, killing Jews. In any event, no border would separate the family. It was a happy day when Aunt Mulchi and her family appeared. Rachel remembered their earlier visits, when they showered her and her siblings with expensive toys, which Blima promptly sold. Aunt Mulchi and Uncle Mano had also sent packages of chocolate, fish oil, and vitamins, items manufactured in their factory. After Rachel's older sister Elizabeth spent the summer with them in 1939, she could not stop talking about their elegant apartment with indoor plumbing, their maid, who cleaned, washed, and ironed, and the shopping excursions they took her on. Rachel thought her sister had been terribly spoiled, and she hoped that she too might one day visit Brașov. But this was not to be. After Hitler's edict, Aunt Mulchi and Uncle Mano sold what they could and left their comfortable cosmopolitan life. They rented a large apartment in Sighet and unpacked what they brought with them, including never-before-seen gadgets that made life easier. Rachel's mother had only a wooden bowl and chopper, whereas Mulchi had a meat grinder. Blima made stew, sophisticated Mulchi made hamburgers. Others of Rachel's relatives were also well off. Her uncle Nachman, who in his youth had tried to make his way in Palestine, had returned to Sighet and married a woman whose dowry enabled him to open a butcher shop and goose-down business. In addition to his sizable home and 2 rental apartments, he built a synagogue for his local community. Its garden contained plants with enormous leaves. Rachel showed his 3 little girls how to use these as sunshades. In June 1941, less than a year after the Hungarian takeover, the Germans invaded Soviet territory. In the ensuing chaos, anti-Semitic leaders, motivated by the recent unwelcome influx of Jews from Galicia and Bukovina, regions on the northern slopes of the Carpathian Mountains, and Poland, decided to deport all foreigners. The National Central Alien Control Office would resettle those Jews who could not prove continual Hungarian citizenship for themselves and their ancestors going back 90 years. On July 8, 1941, Dr. Gabor Itzai, lieutenant governor of the district of Marmaros, in which Sighet was located, promised Jews with unhinged status a new life in Galicia. Though born and bred in Sighet, Rachel's Aunt Mulchi and her uncle Nachman had each lived away from the town. One July night, gendarmes stormed Nachman's home. They dragged the businessman to the police station. As he had lived in Palestine in the 1920s, Nachman was unable to produce papers verifying that he had continually resided in the area that was now part of Hungary. The next day, officers came for his wife and children. Rachel's Aunt Mulchi, Uncle Mano, and their children, having lived for a time in Brașov, were ousted from their home in the same terrible way. Among the several hundred foreign Jews thus rounded up and expelled from Sighet was Moishe the Beadle, the synagogue caretaker.